This is Top Landing Gear.
Cleared for takeoff.
Pull up. Pull up. Pull up.
Hello, and welcome back to Top Landing Gear after a bit of a hiatus during the summer. We haven't been totally idle, though, in that time. Having said that, we're not actually launching the new series just yet, but we've already got lots of plans forming. This episode, to be brutally honest, is unashamedly about creating a bit of self-publicity. I know that's a bit crude, but in order to maintain a profile, one is always going to risk causing ripples elsewhere. After all, what is it you say? You can't make an omelette without breaking eggs.
Oh, God.
In fact, conversely, we have ourselves been broken by some eggs, although you could hardly call us an omelette. Well, you could, but it would be meaningless.
It's all meaningless already.
This is crafted. But like eggs, the four of us come in all shapes and sizes. Some eggs are rounder than others, some are stout, while others, oh sod it, we're all round and stout. Apart from our glamorous front man with indie pop band Scouting for Girls, Roy, you can have me poached, fried or boiled, Stride. Hello, Roy. Reminiscent of a boiled egg that's cracking up with that gooey white stuff oozing out, our pilot and aviation expert, James Easy Over Carter.
I've never been described as easy over anything.
No. And next, just mention eggs to him and he'll run a mile if he could. He absolutely hates them, the chicken. Of all people, he's our agricultural fencer who is exactly the sort of person who should embrace all farm produce. My brother, good in parts, bad in parts. Jez, curate's egg, curly.
Thank you very much.
And finally, an all-round good egg with an attractive shell encasing a heart of gold. That's the yolk. It's me, broadcaster Rob, Cocky Cockerel, curly. So, guys, welcome.
You've not been very busy, have you?
I've been given very little time to prepare this.
That was beautiful.
Because it was a very late in the day decision to put this podcast together. But can we explain what all this exhaustive reference to eggs is all about? It is rather exciting.
It was very exciting. It was your idea, so you may as well tell them what.
Well, I mean, yes, it was sort of my idea. I was sitting at home watching Eggheads with my mother. She introduced me to it some while ago. And I suddenly thought, oh, that would be quite fun to perhaps be on it. It requires a team of four. I thought, oh, I know a team of four. So I put it to the guys and said, would you be interested in, if I applied for Eggheads? And everyone goes, yeah, great idea.
No, we didn't.
You to a person.
Absolutely.
It's on the WhatsApp group. You said, yeah, great idea. And then a few weeks later, I said, we're in. And they said, what? So I got bombarded with abuse.
Yes.
But even though you all thought it was a great idea, you seem to have forgotten that. So we went up to Elstree Studios a few weeks ago.
You say we're in. It wasn't just we're in. We had to do some awful application process,
but
which involved a lot of videos for some reason and answering very strange
Oh, you
questions.
forgot about them. Yeah, we had videos for
Yeah, oh, no, you can't just get in and appear. No, we had to go through a rigorous system of testing and vetting.
I wouldn't want anyone to think because we're such a high-flying podcast that we just got in automatically.
No,
we're not Phil and Holly.
No,
just jump the queue.
Yeah,
no,
we do, yeah.
Very good. Well done. Yeah. No, so we did. We went up to Elstree and recorded. I was able to give Viney, as I like to call him, Jeremy Vine, who's the host, some advice on running a quiz after the success of the Top Landing Gear quiz. He took a lot on board.
I think the next series of Eggheads will have a small pond in the middle of the set.
Turnabout. Oh, lovely. Yeah.
I was particularly disappointed by the total lack of interest he showed in either you or me, James.
Yeah, I know, we were
Only really had eyes for Rob and mainly Roy. Love your band, Roy.
I mean, I've never seen Jeremy Ryan so excited about anything other than these two. And we were and there's some fat blokes down the end.
I was at the furthest end of the table. in every sense of the word. Ignored and largely overlooked.
I never got that feeling that happened to them because I was.
You're
talking
too
to
busy.
Jeremy.
Yeah. We kind of felt like you'd kind of forgotten about us.
Oh, yeah.
Moved on to new friends.
Well,
We were organised enough to have our, our sort of specialised subjects, as it were. So if science came up, James would take that. First thing that came up was science. James took it. Got an aviation question. We can't tell you what happened. We actually can't tell you what happened unless you're listening to this after it went out. But this is going to drop before it goes out. So, see for yourselves. I mean, to say...
I think it was more of a space question than an aviation question.
Aerospace. Yeah. You can tell, dear listener, that it probably wasn't hugely successful for Cartner. But
it was really good though. I thought that because obviously can't give it away. We did. I can't even say the best thing to watch is the fact that I didn't read anything before turning up, and so I turned up with 3 different shirts, all of which had a logo on there. Yeah. And one of the first things they said on the thing which I was supposed to read was, "You're not allowed to wear a shirt with a logo."
Absolutely.
So they said that I could use one of their
Wardrobe
shirts
ones.
for idiots.
It's a lovely colour.
Yeah, it was lime green and size enormous for whoever. So I'm looking forward to seeing that on TV.
Yeah.
How much does TV make you look fatter by a
£6.
stone? £6.
Yeah. So the 3 of us look absolutely.
No, it was the prize money at
vast.
stake as well that week.
Don't mention the prize money.
No, well, I can't say
That's
anymore.
my Ferrari you can hear outside ripping up.
Oh no, it was a good day, wasn't it?
It was a good
great.
day.
I mean, whether we embarrass ourselves or not, I guess we'll find out.
Others will be the
after
judge.
Friday
Yeah.
evening.
My favourite bit of the whole day was you showing us around where you used to present the TV.
Oh, that bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was-
No, it was. That was fun. Yes.
Not that bit.
No,
You're not talking about the cupboards, the interesting cupboards, where lots
they're
of
called dressing rooms.
sorry dressing rooms.
But they were as small as cupboards. But that's where I used to do the regional BBC news from. You're absolutely right. And it hasn't changed apart from they've ripped that studio to pieces
Turned it
because it
into
was so
Holby City.
old. Yes. Yeah.
That's exactly what it is now.
Yeah.
Oh, it was great fun. It was,
No,
it was
it
really
was a
good.
great day out. It was a
It
lovely
was.
day.
It
out.
was
It was
great.
It was quite good fun actually.
Yeah,
I
that was
really
good
enjoyed
fun.
it.
And I think we ended up having a curry, but Roy had to go off because he's had something on.
Band stuff.
Yeah. Great. So
Anyway,
this
so
Friday,
listener,
Channel
yeah.
5, this is October the 14th, 2022. You could be listening to this at any stage.
But it will be available on catch up somewhere.
Oh,
Wherever
in
you are.
perpetuity.
Forever.
Yeah, forever. Yeah.
And probably on YouTube as well. I think they're all on YouTube as well.
Are they?
I think
Yeah.
a lot of the old ones. are.
Brilliant.
That's
I'm
why I did
so
most of my
pleased.
reviews. That shirt and you will be good together forever.
And that shirt it can't have been more than £6. And they had that off my back. Quicker.
Did they?
Yeah.
It was almost see-through as well. It was very, very thin.
Yeah. Yeah. Brilliant.
Anyway,
Lovely. So that was our little bit of fun.
so that's the podcast.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, well done,
literally
everyone.
what
I'd
we're
say.
Yeah. You wanted to kind of remind people of what this podcast is. I think we probably ought to remind ourselves because
Well,
I can't
I
remember.
did think, I thought it was nice. Well, it's lovely to catch up with you guys because we haven't done anything for a while. But I thought it'd be nice for our regular listeners to watch Eggheads. And for anybody who's watched Eggheads and thought, who are these guys? We could do like a little podcast and just tell them what Top Landing Gear is about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go on then.
So Top Landing Gear is essentially a podcast. We call it like Top Gear with wings.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it's an aviation podcast.
Non-geeky.
Non-geeky for anybody. It's like Top Gear, so you don't have to be into cars to enjoy the podcast.
No.
And
No.
we do a magazine episode, which is
Airplanes. You don't have to be
Yeah,
into
or even
airplanes.
airplanes. Yeah.
yeah.
Cars,
What did I say?
whatever.
Cars.
okay.
Well, you don't have to be into cars.
Or
That's true.
airplanes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or airplanes.
Or
yeah.
anything. Tigers.
As you can see, it's very, very serious. And we do a magazine episode, and then that's usually followed by like an in-depth interview with some amazing character from the world of aviation.
Yeah, and we've had some fantastic guests.
We
I mean,
genuinely
really
have.
good. They're worth looking through on our website, toplandinggear.com.
Yeah.
You'll find them all there. We had some great guests. So, we use a little clip of those in our magazine edition, and then we have a full-length interview, which we call our full flaps edition, which is if you want to just hear it more in depth. And they're always worth listening to.
Is that how it works? Is it?
I know. I'm telling each one. I'm looking at each of you. But
This is like me describing like an album track on like one of the albums which our drummer's not actually played on. And he's like, I've never heard that song before, ever. I've never even heard it, let alone know how to play it. I've never even heard that song.
And it's one of ours.
Yeah.
That's just encouraging.
Yeah.
But we, on Full Flaps, we've had some incredible guests.
We really
Incredible
have.
guests.
Yeah.
Name some.
Well, we had the son of Sir Frank Whittle, one of our most recent guests, Ian Whittle, who was just brilliant. And the wide scope of people who've really enjoyed that, not just because he is quite detailed and quite technical in many places. But
I don't know if you saw, we got a message from a chap who teaches apprentices in the RAF at Halton
oh, yes.
about engine theory.
Yeah.
And he's advised them all to go listen to that episode.
Has he?
Yeah.
Good
Really?
man.
Because he
Thank
said
you.
there was so much involved with that was it's brilliant. And that, for some reason, that the son of Frank Whittle episode just clicked with a whole load of people I didn't expect it to.
No,
It
I
was
agree with
incredible.
you. Yeah. No, it's been very popular. Funnily enough, I was going out of a shop in Guildford the other day, and a chap came in with his pushchair wearing some headphones and said, "Oh, thank you. I'm just listening to your podcast, by the way." I mean, I didn't have my name and I wasn't wearing a Top Landing Gear t-shirt, so I'm just listening to your podcast. So, are you? He said, yeah, he liked it. He's a British Airways pilot. He says it's really quite popular at British Airways. A lot of the guys listen.
Yeah.
Isn't that great?
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Other amazing guests. We had Martin Withers,
Yes.
the pilot of. Go on, Des.
The Vulcan bomber XM607, the Black Buck raids to the Falkland Islands 1982.
Yeah.
One of my favourite books, one of our favourite guests.
And we've had that author of that book
Yeah,
as
with
well.
Roland White on. We've had John Hutchinson, Concorde pilot.
Old mate.
First interview we did.
Exactly right.
Who else we've had? We've had
Amanda J. Harrison.
Amanda J. Harrison, yeah.
Second interview we ever did.
Yeah.
On the same day, in fact, that I interviewed
And
Hutch.
she's aiming to go halfway around the world in a tiger moth by herself,
Yeah.
which is a fascinating story, that one.
Yeah.
We've had Red Arrows, we had former Red Arrows, serving Red Arrows,
Yeah.
other Red Arrows.
Red Arrows.
Some
Yeah.
people have accused us of doing too much red arrows.
We've had Spitfires,
Yeah, Spitfires. We had
Lancasters.
Faz, the pilot of the BBMF.
Yeah, Lancaster, and he's now
yeah.
just come off that, literally
Yeah.
this week as
Yeah.
we're
He's going off to
recording.
Scotland to go and fly.
He's going to Lossie, isn't he?
Poseidon's.
Yeah, up to
Yeah.
Poseidon's and Lossie.
In Lossie with my mate Zane Sennett, who flies
Yes.
the Typhoon up at
Yeah.
Lossie.
Who's also been a guest.
He's also been a guest because he was in that 70th, the Queen's Jubilee fly past. He was on that little angle of the number 7 flying.
We've had
that
the author
Typhoon.
Dilip Sarkar,
Battle of
who
Britain
Battle of
expert.
Britain expert.
Who even Battle of Britain, well, when they were still alive, Battle of Britain pilots would say that Dilip knew more about the Battle of Britain than any of them did.
Yeah, which was
And
amazing.
The famous Alan Pollock.
Did you see the email that came in today?
Yeah, I did, yes.
Yeah, where
Um,
there was a TV researcher who's doing, what can you remember? what it's called?
Warbirds, something Warbirds.
Warriors.
Yeah.
Warbird Warriors. I think.
Air Warriors.
Air
or
Warriors,
something.
yeah.
They'd like us to make contact on their behalf
Yeah.
with Alan. So,
So
I'll do
Alan
that.
flew his Hunter jet in 1968 under Tower Bridge as a bit of a protest against the lack of recognition that the Air Force were getting in their 50th year.
Yeah.
One thing we
exactly
should do is the Daily Mail. Oh no, we've done the Daily Mail air race. And God, haven't we done the Daily Mail air race?
Come on.
Still
Yeah,
love
the
Daily Mail,
1969 day. You'll learn that quite a lot of this stuff is quite retro, but it's history. Yeah, we did a series of programs on the Daily Mail Air Race because it was. We all admit it was a brilliant story, and we got the winner. We got other competitors. It's fabulous.
It was a
Yeah.
fast.
And
it
the
was
great thing
fascinating.
is, listeners, there's so much more.
Yeah,
There
well
is
said.
tons of stuff, and you just think you can't really drag any more out of it.
But it's not
There's
just old
tons
stuff.
of it.
We
No,
were
loads of it.
shown around the Typhoon
Yes,
with
RF Coningsby.
RF Conisby. So up to the date stuff. We've got coming up. We've got some real up to the date stuff with interview with a business jet pilot who took us around Farnborough.
Yeah, that was fabulous, wasn't it?
Yeah, that will be in the next series. We've got an interview with Scadden for Girls guitarist Jamie O'Gorman, who has just started his own film production company. He qualified as a drone pilot
That'd be great.
during lockdown. So it'd be really interesting because he actually quit the band to become a drone pilot.
Right.
He's coming back for the tour.
Oh, good.
So I've spoken to him a few times, but it'd be really great to talk to him about,
Yeah.
flying drones. That's gonna be
yeah.
so. And also, the whole show is steered by yourself and the great great things that people suggest. And
Yeah. Is it
fun
though?
trips
Have we
you-
ever taken any notice what any? No, we have, and we've had lots of invitations actually too, haven't we?
Yeah.
We have.
Yeah,
We had
and-
some
and the
amazing invitations this summer to go and do some stuff. None of them we could do.
No.
Various scheduling issues, but we'd really like to be invited back again next year, please. Bournemouth Air Show we did last year. That was brilliant. Couldn't do it this year.
Yeah.
My mate Mike Woodley, I'm still very much hopeful that we can go down to Dunsfold and get him to talk about his life in aviation filming. This is a guy who's provided all the aircraft for pretty much all the Bond films that have ever been made, and plus lots of other movies. And he also is the owner of 3 retired 747s and a Dakota and amongst other stuff. So we're going to hopefully go down there at some point.
Yeah.
Get an
he's
interview
going to
with
be
him.
fascinating because, imagine, what do you do? I collect 747s. I just keep them. And what do you do? I just sort of move them around an airfield.
Yeah.
Like every week.
Yeah.
I mean, that is one understanding misses, I'd say.
Well, it's literally every time. I don't think I ever.
Yeah. Well, at least he owns an airfield. Part of it. That's it.
yeah.
But I
Well,
drive
those-
past
and-
Dunsfold like 2 or 3 times a week,
Yeah.
and they're never in the same position. And you know he's in that cockpit. So you know he's loving that.
Well, the other week I had to phone Rob actually because I was driving past Dunsfold every day on my way to work, and Rob's favourite aircraft, the VC-10, was parked, which is also at Dunsfold, although I think belongs to Brooklands Museum, was parked tail to the road, looking majestic and amazing. And I said I stopped to try and see if I get a decent picture, but it wasn't good enough on my phone. But you were going to drive past it, but it moved by then. But
Yeah.
I'd love to do something on the VC-10 just for you. We should go to Brooklands. We want to go to Duxford. We want to go all over the
I
place.
do sometimes play a little game when I'm departing out of Gatwick on a Westerly runway. We're going, because we sort of, by the time we're flying over Dunsfold, we're doing about 250, 300 miles an hour. And I've got to try and spot all three jumpers before we get over the top of it.
And the VC-10.
And the VC-10. And they're always in completely different places.
Are they?
That's great, isn't it?
One of the things which we do is obviously we try and attend any aviation events or air shows, anything there. And it's because you mentioned Brooklands. I was looking at some things to do with the kids over half term, and Brooklands over half term have Airheads, which runs for all of half term, Saturday the 22nd to the 30th of October. Obviously, you have everything that's going on at Brooklands. So you've got Concorde and VC-10.
Yeah,
there.
VC-10 is there. The Harrier that won the 1969 Daily Mail Air Race. Fun
Indeed.
enough.
You're a
TriStar
I don't know
there
if
as
we
well.
mentioned that. No.
No.
There's a VC, is it a Qatari or a Brunei VC-10 now? Or something?
It's the was the Sultan of Oman's. I
Oman,
think
yeah,
somebody like that. I've filmed in it. It's
yes,
like
yeah.
it's like a
It's a VIP, so to
VIP
speak, yeah.
jet inside. Yeah.
But in sort of, it's VIP jet stroke 1970s porn set. It's because
Correct.
it's quite old now,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's a bit,
like,
yeah.
As you walk aboard, he goes, shit,
It's amazing. I took my kids about 3 or 4 years ago when they were like 7 and 9, and they loved it. Because one of the things you can go on Concorde and you sit there and they pretend it takes off and you go.
Well, it's got a
supersonic.
simulator there, hasn't it? Which
It's-
John
yes,
Hutchins told
yeah.
us about. He said
Sorry,
he
did you say
said it's
pretend
brilliant.
it takes off? Does that not really take...
Yeah, it's really good. But anyway, they've got a load of stuff on.
They got the Wellington bomber, which
Yeah,
was,
we
of
have a
course,
Wellington there, yeah.
designed by Barnes Wallis of Dan Buster's fame. So there's a lot of, because that was he was based there for a lot of the time, working for Vickers. So there's so much history there. It's
And
a
loads of
fabulous
stuff
place.
during just half term. They've got
There's-
like a load of costume characters. Tommy Sopworth, Sidney Camel, Gilda Hewitt, the aircraft factory workers. So they've got they've got loads of stuff for the kids there as well. So it's a good excuse to
Oh, brilliant!
you know.
Yeah.
Well, that. We should do a show from there.
Yeah,
You want to
they
do
have
one
there
from
is
Croydon
it-
Airport? That's another one you want to do,
Yes, I do.
which you've
London
been
Airport,
going on
Croydon.
for about 3 years.
London Airport, Croydon. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff. And actually, in this centenary year of the BBC, which I've also been loosely involved with, there's an amazing tie-in with the guy who kind of invented air traffic control was an engineer, was the first senior engineer at the BBC. And those two things are sort of linked. Really, it's fascinating. So,
Sounds like a documentary that should be written about that.
yeah, it should be really.
Well
yeah.
done. Go on then.
Thank you.
One more plug for something that's going on.
Yeah.
And this is at the Lincolnshire Aviation Centre. We've done a podcast there. We did a whole 3
Cool.
days in
Yeah.
Lincolnshire, didn't we? where we did Bomber County. We visited Coningsby, where we with Typhoon. But at Lincolnshire Aviation Centre, they have a Lancaster Just Jane, which they're trying to bring back to full airworthiness.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's been a bit of an update on it recently, which I couldn't
Is there?
read because I needed to pay extra in order to read it on
I
my.
think that's the new turret.
Oh,
that's
lovely.
on, yeah.
Great.
Well, I got something from today which says there's another movie coming out about the Lancaster. It's been filmed around there. It's been done on no budget, but I've totally forgotten what it was called now.
There's been a few with no
Yeah,
budget.
yeah. But I saw a trailer for it. I will see if I can find it before the end of the show.
Oh, good.
And it looked really quite good. So, and a lot of it's been filmed around East Kirkby.
Oh, how
So
lovely.
They're just about to finish production of that, I think. So that might be something to look out for.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Or I like anything to do with the Lancaster. So I've done. They're the only place in the world where you can go on a taxi run in this Lancaster. So they fire up all 4 engines, and you can go down the runway, and they take you to the field. It's one of the most incredible experiences you can have if you're an aviation. If it's an aviation history fan, it's amazing.
Yeah. That whole airfield is
Yeah.
it's full of history. It's got the original control tower there. It is fabulous, isn't it?
And they've got a mosquito there as
Yeah.
well. You can do a taxi run in that. And basically, I'm going to plug on the 5th of November. They have one of the biggest firework displays in the country. But at the same time, not while the fireworks going on, but in the same evening, they do a nighttime taxi ride of the Lancaster and the Mosquito. And they've also got they've got a couple of World War II searchlights, full beam, like up in the air.
Oh, fabulous.
And they have some 1940s bands playing.
Oh, I
and
love all that.
lots of people
It's
all
my era.
dressed up. It's and so tickets, it always sells out. Tickets are available now. If I lived in Lincolnshire, I would have tickets for that straight away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great place to go.
It's amazing. And our podcast on that is really good. We speak to
fun,
Andrew
isn't it?
Panton,
Yes. Who owns the
Yeah.
Lanc?
and is trying to, well, I didn't realize that the aim is to get it flying, and he's going to qualify to fly it.
I know.
Living the dream.
So the film
Yes.
that is being made around the Lancaster is called Good Time Charlie. It's by Luke Campion and Jamie Snedden. And there's a whole load of stuff on the I Support Avro Lancaster NX611 Just Jane Facebook page, and you can read all about it. It looks like it could be really good.
Oh,
Amazing.
good.
Yeah.
Okay. Brilliant.
So good
The
luck
other
with that,
place we visited on that trip was Scampton. Sadly, no more.
It's gone.
It's now gone. It's all closed down. So sad, isn't it?
That whole the Heritage Centre as well.
Well, I imagine so. I don't know.
think with one of there were loads of plans to do something with Scampton.
Yeah.
I hopefully not just build houses on it.
Yeah.
And I think the lowest grade plan was to keep the Heritage Centre
Yeah.
as it is,
Okay.
Yeah.
and then it go up from there to have some sort of aviation museum
Yeah.
complete there. We were briefly involved with the Save Scampton
Yes. That,
for
Yeah.
a bit,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that sort of seemed to have come to a bit of an abrupt stop. But
Fizzled a
we're
bit.
still obviously still behind it. But yes, I think so. I think Scampton is an interesting one,
yeah.
and it will go on. That's the sort of thing that'll burn on for a few years yet.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah,
I
because
hope.
the Reds have gone to Waddington.
The
now,
Reds
haven't
are at Waddington. That's their
Yeah.
main base, but they still the
Uh,
airspace over Scampton is still where they're going to practice their
Yeah.
displays. So.
Yeah.
If you're watching from the ground,
they?
not an
Yeah.
awful lot will have changed.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, this is where the Dam Busters raid was launched from. So that's why the Heritage Centre.
yeah.
I mean, you couldn't really have it anywhere else,
No,
could you?
no.
You've got Guy Gibson's office. You know, Will sat in his chair. I mean, there's so much there.
Brilliant day.
Yeah,
I mean, we had a fantastic guide. Was it Colin?
Colin the
Yeah.
guide.
Colin, he was
and
amazing.
you can listen to that whole guided tour.
all there.
on
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
podcast is there.
Other closures, though, talking about Doncaster Airport's going
Yeah.
to be closed for housing.
there's
obviously.
a lot of
And
stuff there.
that
a
is where-
lot of aircraft.
Yeah, well, that
Yeah.
was RAF Finningley,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
which was when I was going through training in the Air Force, it was the multi-engine training base and the navigator training base.
Ah.
And so a lot of chaps sort of my age now who have an awful lot of fond memories of Finningley and Doncaster nights out. Many of them have wives from Doncaster as well. So yeah, that's a real loss because it closed an RAF base and that was very sad. But then there was this sort of this hope that it then reopened as it's Robin Hood
Yeah.
airport. But it now appears that is now no longer an option, and houses are
From my point of view, it's tragic because that's where the last flying Vulcan is now kind of marooned.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
And there's only the three outcomes. Either it's scrapped, which would be tragic after all the time and effort and blood, sweat, and tears that went into saving it and getting it flying again. Taking it apart and reassembling it somewhere else, or there is talk, and James, you might have an opinion on this, of, and I think this is talk from those people who actually seriously know about it, that it could be granted one final ferry flight to fly it to another airfield, where it could,
Well,
spend its days.
tell Mike Woodley. Let's bring it to Dunsfold.
Yeah, let's get it to Dunsfold. Yeah.
What's a ferry flight?
Ferry flight might actually be the wrong
No,
term.
ferry
I think it
flight
is.
is exactly
It's literally just ferrying it from one place to another, or
So
for the
it's-
purpose
it's
of just
bare-
moving
yeah,
it.
bare
I
minimum.
think.
And it might include restrictions like they have to keep the gear down. They're
Right.
not allowed to raise the gear. They have to.
Would
keep
it
a
would it
certain
take off?
elevation. I think it hasn't
Well,
really.
it nearly did, didn't it?
That was a Victor.
Yeah.
yeah.
But I think it's still in roughly airworthiness condition, but
Yeah.
it hasn't been certified to be airworthy.
Right.
So it would probably need an awful lot of paperwork.
Yeah.
It'd be a massive paperwork exercise to get it, deemed fit for a ferry flight.
Yeah.
And 50 years ago, it would have appeared somewhere overnight. The next morning, oh, how did it get there? But these days, it's sort of
Yeah.
it'd be a very big paperwork exercise, and it's hopeful. It would be wonderful. I think it'd be
Wouldn't
one
that
of the
be
most
great?
viewed flights
Yeah.
ever in the UK.
God.
Yeah.
But
That might be enough to stop it happening.
Yeah.
The police would
Yes.
probably.
They probably would have to
Throw
do
one.
it
yeah.
without
Yeah.
telling anyone, like they
Yeah.
did with its final
Yeah.
flight. When
And I really wouldn't be surprised if that didn't happen.
No.
That would be lovely, and it is an outside possibility.
Yeah.
I think a lorry is probably the more.
A lorry in
More
bits,
likely, yeah.
and then reassemble it. But then that would be.
That'd be that, wouldn't it? No hope of it ever flying.
No.
again. No.
And did anyone see the news of the Wells-born XM60, not 67, one of the XMs
Oh,
that
overran the
overshot
runway.
on its
Taxi run.
on its taxi run, its fast taxi. I think the chute didn't deploy. Went straight across the end of the runway, across a bit of grass, and its nose poked out onto the Wells-born Road, which I used to work up there, and I used to see this thing before I was really interested in the Vulcan in particular. And this is back in the late 80s, and it was sitting there. And I used to drive past Wells-born Airfield,
Yeah.
and it nearly tried to get itself onto the road.
Yeah.
Extraordinary.
Trying to
Yeah.
escape.
It was trying to escape.
They
Join its
did a very
mate.
good job of getting it back quickly because it looked like it was dug in there for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they seemed to, within a few days, it was back in its normal habitat on the dispersal.
On the pad. Yeah.
The other place that's closing down, not as big as Doncaster, but is the Cornwall. I can't remember if it's Aviation Heritage Centre, but
Something like that,
which I went to when it first opened, and it was absolutely wonderful. They've got a VC-10 there. But they got lots and lots of stuff there. And in fact, at one stage, a lot of stuff came from Coventry because that was a great base
Yeah.
for historic aircraft. And a lot of stuff then went to Newquay. So it was a growing museum. And they also started to do pleasure flights from there. And they were offering aerobatic flights in chipmunks. I mean, can you imagine? I went up in a Rapide there, which was just fabulous. But then they couldn't sustain that. And now the council, I think, are stepping in and saying they can't be there anymore. I mean, it is a vast airfield. It's RAF St Morgan. And on the other side is Newquay Cornwall Airport.
Yeah,
There is a petition.
there is a petition.
Yeah,
out there,
we've-
so I encourage people to sign that. For
Yeah,
what it's
we've
worth.
been encouraging people
Yes.
for a
I mean,
while.
it's as we've hopefully looked at so far, and will continue to do so in the future. British aviation heritage is something we should be incredibly proud of,
Yes.
right
yeah.
up to the 70s or 80s,
Yes.
where it just seemed to stop,
Yeah.
and everybody else took over, and we, for some reason, it all just British aviation production. The last airliner we produced was the BAE 146.
Gosh.
And that's where it stopped.
Yeah.
So,
And
it's
that's
something
just
we should
been
be-
withdrawn from RAF service, hasn't
has,
it?
yeah.
Yeah.
so it's something we should be proud of. We should be fighting for
Yeah.
because it's
Right.
Well, Empire of the Clouds is that wonderful book by James Hamilton Patterson, who I still want to get as another guest because he would be brilliant.
Yeah.
He'd be quite angry for all the reasons you mentioned, James. and his knowledge of aviation, and he shares our passion as well. And yeah, I've had a lot of dealings with him. He sounds a terrific chap. It would be great to get him on.
That'd be perfect. Series 5.
Yeah, we've got
Series
so much in the bag, haven't we?
Yeah, Series 5.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
Exciting stuff.
It is very exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. We need to go and do something about it, huh?
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. When do you think we'll be able to get Series 5 up and running, Rob?
Well, Series 5, I think we are going... I'm hoping we will be recording some interviews this year
Yeah.
and then start coming out January, February, March. I like doing it then because it's kind of like... Well, I was going to say it gives us something to look forward to after Christmas.
Yeah.
And also, like, that's when I'm less...
Well, I was going to
busy,
say,
because
you are now phenomenally busy because Scouting for Girls are just about to go on tour with Ollie Murs.
Yeah, well, we're touring by ourselves in November and December, and then we're supporting Ollie.
Is that still the Sold Out Everywhere But Glasgow tour?
Yes. Yeah.
What's wrong with Glasgow?
We always used to do bad in Glasgow. So we booked this. We booked a tiny little place. We had 800 capacity, and it just sold out really quickly. And so then we booked a really big place with like 3,500 things, and we've nearly done it. There's like 200 tickets left, so we will sell it out. But it's just gonna have to wait. It was a bit annoying because we can't go. It's a sold out tour it's just because we extended to Glasgow. But yeah, and then Ollie Murs and Easter, and then festival. So the Top Landing Gear 5 will be early part of next year.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. We've got to do it when you're available, basically.
Well, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for no other reason than I edit it.
Well, no, there are a lot more reasons for that, but yes.
Well, yeah.
Somewhat.
Actually,
Yeah.
that's it.
Oh, but that's exciting.
But it means we can start doing it now. So, we're always open to any suggestions, any interviews, and definitely offers of flying. This is 3 or 4 we've got like in the bag.
We have got a few in the
need
bag,
to-
which we never get around to doing.
Yeah.
Which we need to do.
We want to do the helicopters in Somerset, James.
We do.
Yeah. And
The
I know you've
Blades.
spoken to them, haven't you?
Blades.
Blades.
Yeah.
If that's still open.
Yeah. Mike
Mike
Ling.
Ling. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, no, we've made some super friends actually in the world of aviation. We're very lucky, but not least at Bournemouth actually last year.
Particularly the
it.
Chinook display team, I thought.
Yeah, the Chinook. Yeah, they're good guys.
Do they display? Do they? I've never seen them.
Yeah, so there's a lot to look forward to. So, Ollie Murs, can I just say my own personal bit of information, which I'm very excited about, which is happening in the next few days. Regular listeners to this wonderful podcast and the even more wonderful quiz will know that there's often a bit of aviation history to be mentioned, which involves the country of once known as Malaya, where I was born, now Malaysia. I am doing a gig this week with none other than the King and Queen of Malaysia. Can you believe that?
Almost not.
It's
Having
true.
heard the story in full.
No, quite. No, you're right. But there you are. Can't say more than that right now.
Yeah.
But I'm rather excited.
There's another thing that kind of tied everything together as well, is after the events of what's happened in recent months, we've gone back and watched The Crown from the beginning. And obviously,
Have you?
Rob, with your starring role in The Crown.
Oh, bless you.
And
Princess Diana's body double. Yeah.
and I was watching one of the beginning bits where you've got Peter Townsend and his relationship with
Group Captain
Margaret?
Peter
Captain,
Townsend. Yes, absolutely.
And then I was like, where do I know that name from? And then I was like, I've just been reading a book called Jewel of Eagles, which is his account of the Battle of Britain,
Oh, really?
which is actually, if you have Amazon, you can get it free on Prime Reading, which you can read it, which is fabulous. It's called Jewel of
great.
Eagles. Got a beautiful picture of a Spitfire. And,
Oh,
but
wow.
it was written, I think, in the 70s, but it's brilliant. It starts right from the Royal Air Corps in the First World War, and
Wow.
it goes to his own account. So
Goodness
that's
me.
a little plug if you're looking for something to read. And the other thing which I want to do is listen to that book you put on Audible,
Yes,
which is fiction.
it's fiction,
For a-
but it's got a picture of Vulcan Bubble on the
Yes,
front.
is it-
So it has to be brilliant.
Does it feature a Vulcan?
It's all about the Vulcan.
Amazing, yeah.
And I won't say, I'm really enjoying it. It's by a guy called James Blatch, I think,
Yeah.
who I've never heard of. And if you're listening, James, I'm going to look you up. And if the book continues as well as it started. I think I'm about chapter 6 now, listening because I can't read. Or at least I can't keep my eyes open for more than about 10 seconds, and I do. I'm really enjoying it. It's a great book. It's called, what do they call it? It's called Final Flight.
Yes, Final Flight.
It has a picture of a Vulcan on the front. It's set in 1966.
Which we know wasn't the final flight of the Vulcan.
No, but we don't know why it might be
Spoiler.
called the Final Flight.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So who knows what's going to happen? But it's great. A bit of espionage and a bit of lots of RAF banter set on an RAF base. So James, you probably enjoy a bit of
All
that,
of
even because it's not. It's kind of you never really grew out of that era, even though you weren't born in 1966.
No.
And I've also thoroughly recommended that. I've also. Our great mate Roland White. I've just finished listening to another of his books called Phoenix Squadron.
That was one of
which-
his first.
I think, his first
Yeah.
actually
About
about Buccaneers and Ark Royal and British Honduras, Belize. Fascinating book, very technically quite detailed, as lots of his books are, but actually a really good read stroke listen. So that's another one. Yeah, really good. But I'm really enjoying the Final Flight by James Blatch.
Brilliant.
I hope I've got his name right. I might just check that while we're talking.
Yeah, the other chap, actually, I was thinking, which is a great interview to listen to. I don't know what reminded me of that just then, was Chris Parry. His Falklands tale, which is just incredible. He was an observer on a Royal Navy Wessex called Humphrey and fired the first shots of the conflict, didn't he? But did a lot more besides.
Yeah,
And that's a fabulous interview.
some brilliant stories around that.
Yeah.
As well with the Wessex on Fortuna Glacier
Yeah.
in South Georgia, which we also did a pod on.
And he sunk
Yeah.
the submarine, didn't he?
He crippled the Santa
Santa
Fe.
Fe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great stories.
Yeah.
Great stories.
Incredible, aren't they?
Yeah. We should do an episode on our favourite aviation books and films at
Yeah.
some point. Maybe we could tie that in with Mike Woodley.
Yeah.
If Mike agrees to come on
Yes.
still,
That'd be fun.
which he did 2 years ago.
Yeah, the other element that regular listeners will be aware of is our Ask James feature, where our opportunity and yours, the listener, to ask James, our aviation expert, anything on the subject of aviation. If there's aerospace involved, I'd steer clear of that.
But that's the one feature we said we were going to drop, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, was it?
For the
We're
mini
going to do
series,
that.
we're going to make the quick facts lots of quick.
That's your
Extend those
little
a
bit. Yeah.
And extend the quiz and the quick facts.
Just for anybody who has never listened to Top Landing Gear,
Yeah.
why is James our aviation expert?
Well, he's a pilot.
Yeah.
It's rather exciting.
Right.
Yeah, he used to be in the RAF. He went on the fast jet course, didn't get through. Ended up flying Wessexes and Pumas. And we're very proud of him for that. And he's now in the airlines. He's seen a few airlines that he's joined go bankrupt pretty soon afterwards.
It wasn't. Not all of them were my fault.
No.
I mean,
But I
most
do
of them.
know the guy whose fault it was.
Yes.
And he has also agreed to come on and be a guest. We're going to give them a couple of pairs of boxing gloves.
That'd be
Which
hilarious.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
No,
So,
James's knowledge in aviation, it pains me to say this when he's sitting here, is just phenomenal and fascinating, which is really how this whole podcast came about. Because whenever we used to meet up with James, we'd try and make that not happen too often. But whenever it did, we'd always end up asking him endless questions about aeroplanes, which he always answered. And it was just fascinating. So Jez one day said, we should do a podcast, which of course everyone says, don't they?
Yeah.
But we've actually
Especially
done
during
it.
lockdown.
Especially during lockdown, is what it was. Yeah.
But the great thing about this section of the podcast is open to all listeners. So we very much welcome any questions.
And we've had questions from. We've had really technical questions.
Yeah.
And we've had. Why
Questions
don't
from-
airplanes have indicators?
I love that one.
Yeah. Do you really know what all those buttons do?
Yes.
That's still one of my favourite
And the
ones.
answer was no.
You
Sort
don't
of.
always need to.
We've got a manual for it on the iPad. What happens if the iPad runs out? We've got another one. What happens if that one runs out? Oh.
Yeah. No, it's great. It's been very difficult to catch you out. But Jim, I mean, in terms of where we are now with the airlines, are things kind of back where they were, or is still a bit of a way to go? Or?
Because our last episode was with the series ended with our
Yes.
episode with Jeremy Spake, who was absolutely
he was brilliant.
absolute legend.
Wasn't he great?
Yeah.
And
Lovely
absolutely
guy.
stuffed us in the quiz.
Oh my God, his aviation. Actually, we should get him as our aviation expert.
Yeah,
But,
I've always said that.
Yeah.
Guys, hello, is this on?
Jeremy from Airport fame.
Yeah.
He was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
But we were talking about we dropped that just before the summer of chaos, which
Yes.
I have to say that I flew probably several times for holiday and several times for more than several times for work, and I've never found the London airports better. I had literally every plane I got on arrived early.
Yeah, I think
amazing.
whether it was chaos or not depends very much on which flight you got.
Yeah.
And there are some people sitting at home and go, "It was blooming chaos. I can tell you about it." And a lot of people got away with it.
Yeah.
I think generally we got away with it more than we were expecting it to, but there were a lot of people still affected by some either horrific delays or cancellations where their flights just didn't happen.
Yeah.
As we talked about beforehand.
We're not hearing about it now, though, are we?
No.
At all?
No.
Because we're now back down to the sensible levels of flying.
Yeah.
And I think because Heathrow, for example, imposed a cap on the total passenger numbers.
And that was a huge problem for
Which
the
was a
airlines,
big
wasn't
problem
it?
for the airlines. So
And
that
the
was why a
passengers.
lot of the flights were cancelled. So because of that, we, there was, as I say, the cancellations. That is now easing. We are through the worst of it because we're no longer in the ridiculously busy time. There'll be a peak at half term just coming up soon, and then the Christmas peak as well. So I think there are still issues out there for everybody to solve, but we're hopefully getting through it. And by next year, there'll still be problems next year, I think, but not as bad as this year.
It was I found there's quite a bit of a buzz in the airport.
Yeah.
Going.
Well, I haven't
happy
flown an empty airplane. I mean, as in an airplane without seats, ram jam full for the last over the whole summer.
Yeah.
Every flight has been
God.
full.
All long haul.
It's
All
amazing
long
how
haul,
quickly it. I remember coming back from Ibiza, and there was me and my daughter, and there was 2 other people on an EasyJet flight, which was 150, and they put all this. They fumigated it beforehand, and it just all seems crazy now.
Yeah.
It seems like such
Doesn't it?
It seems a long time ago, doesn't it?
Yeah. I remember coming down. I've sent you guys a video.
Yeah.
I had to get a hire car from Gatwick and walked through the terminal, and there was nobody there. All the escalators weren't running, but it was still open to get to the car. It all seems so very weird now, doesn't it?
And it's now. I mean, I don't think I've seen Heathrow as busy as I saw it a few weeks ago.
Which terminal do you fly out of mostly?
All of them.
It's a very leading question.
Yeah.
Though.
Incredibly.
No, he's not allowed to say what airline he flies for.
Yeah.
But although it's
What I would say is, if I tell
fairly
you where
obvious.
terminal I fly out of, you know which airline I fly for. So
Yeah.
I'll stop there.
Yeah. I never thought of it that way.
Good effort.
No,
Nice.
it's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
I flew out of Terminal 3, not with your airline.
Well, you might have done.
Well, there we go. In the summer, I went to Sweden, and that was chaos initially, and then was really smooth. And coming back, we flew out of this tiny little airport just outside Stockholm. It's the
that
best
was right, because when we were
airport.
interviewing Jeremy, you
Yes.
kept asking about, and Sweden?
Yeah.
How is it in Sweden?
Yeah.
Like next week? How is that looking?
He said, I think you'll be fine. And he was correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
We flew out of this airport called, I think it was called Bronna Airport. And it's tiny. There were literally about 3 flights all day. It's fabulous. It's the best airport I've ever been to.
Oh, I love those.
and I
places.
flew to Bilbao 3 or 4 weeks ago. That was out of Gatwick. Easy. Easy.
The other thing that's quite good to watch is my airline produces a list of all the restrictions due to COVID at each destination. And over the last few weeks, every time we get an update on our iPads, you see a load of them being deleted.
Amazing.
And they're going more. So we're now down to just a few, and a lot of them are just to wear masks on transport.
Yeah.
So the world is opening up, except the Far East. China is still
really?
complete solitary room confinement. If you go there, as in, I don't think any Western airlines are flying there.
And that's the same for cruise as well.
Yeah. Hong Kong is opening up in the next week or so. So they're looking for some slight relaxation in Hong Kong. Singapore is now open and very similar to how it used to be, because Singapore were going for zero COVID as well. So the signs are coming, but it's still China is completely closed, and you can't really fly. I think Japan's opening up, but it's very difficult to get to because you have to fly over Russia to get to Japan. And you either take a very, very northerly route or a very, very southerly route. So that's going to be interesting for those that fly to Japan. But it's opening up. It's happening.
Talking about routes, there's a lot of talk at the moment, and it's probably going for a while, about changing the transatlantic routes now because they don't need to do it in the old-fashioned way anymore. What's this to do with?
So we have a thing called the NATS tracks, which are the North Atlantic track system. So they're not really the NATS tracks; they're the NATS.
Okay, good, yes.
And you have a series of tracks which take advantage of the best winds of the day, so that everybody going. So in the morning, it's all eastbound traffic, and in the afternoon, it's all westbound traffic. And so it takes advantage of the best or the least winds, depending on which way you're going, and organises the traffic into lanes basically across the Atlantic. Now, with the advent of modern GPS, I say modern, apparently it's been around since the 70s, if you believe Eggheads.
I wasn't going to bring that up, but
Yeah.
The aircraft can fly random routings, and we also have onboard systems that keep us apart as well. So with that, an increased computer capacity of the air traffic system across the Atlantic, it is possible to make it more random, which gives you straighter lines, and allows people to decide their own routing rather than stick to a motorway, if you like, of lanes. So that is coming in. We still have the NAT system at the moment.
Yeah.
There were rumours it would be finished by now. But I think COVID probably delayed that somewhat. And so we'll see how that goes.
Does that contribute to make flying greener?
It should
In
do.
any way? Yeah.
Anything that's
more efficient?
anything gives you more point to point
Yeah.
generally makes it greener. So hopefully, yes, it will do. And I also saw all the airlines have signed a aspirational desire to make aviation.
I saw that. That was today, wasn't it?
Yeah, today or yesterday. Yeah,
But I saw there was
Make
something-
aviation what?
to make it carbon zero
Oh, wow.
by 2050 or something like that.
like that. But it said it was like the thing I saw was like a compromised position there. I don't know if you know any more about that.
No, I saw a headline and I was going to stop there really.
Okay, good.
And
I won't question
hope
it
no one
because
will
I saw the
question
headline
me.
and then saw, it seemed like a compromise thing. I thought, I'll ask James about that. That aviation X-ray. Right, I'm going to ask Jeremy now.
Yeah. We've got
Yeah,
his
go and speak
details.
to Jeremy again.
Yeah.
But I think a green special would be quite a good one.
Well,
in the future.
I've started some inquiries on that.
Yeah.
We did talk about hydrogen once, didn't we?
Yeah, there's something. Yes, back down to Cornwall. Actually, there's an islander that is being prepared to have either electric or hydrogen, or
If
hydrogen
it's-
electric. Is it?
Might be. If it's an
Engines.
island, it'd probably be electric based because it's propeller. So
Yeah.
I think anything with propellers could reasonably straightforwardly be replaced with electric.
Right. Okay.
It's longer distance, faster jet
Yeah.
type stuff that you need a full hydrogen to work like jet fuel does.
Mm.
But there are obviously inherent value or problems with that,
Yeah.
with the amount of extra fuel you need.
Is this what Rolls-Royce are looking at?
Rolls-Royce were looking at a hydrogen jet, and Airbus are quite heavily into it as well. They put out a few concept designs of a hydrogen aircraft. The problem is what would be the back of 10 rows of seats is a hydrogen tank,
Oh, right.
because
Okay.
it just needs an extra volume of fuel
Yeah.
to do the same as just wing tanks on a
Okay.
jet aircraft. But I'm sure it'll come.
Yeah.
Possibly not in my career time, but I imagine fairly soon.
why? What's
afterwards.
happened?
Have you not seen the state of it?
Well,
It's not
apart from
happening in the
that,
next 6 months.
yeah.
Fascinating stuff, Jim. Thank you very much. Now, listen. One of the other parts of the kind of the best bit of many of these episodes. Sorry,
The
right?
closing theme.
Is
The closing theme music. Yeah.
Well, that's another thing. It's the Top Landing Gear quiz. Now everyone's looking at their watches all of a sudden. I don't know what's going on.
I've had quite an early start.
Would you like a quiz? I hadn't
We've
originally
never said
planned
yes
to
to this
do a
question.
quiz.
We've never
Well,
said yes to this question.
Then, just before we turned up, you
Well,
say
because the reason I said this
Where's
is
the quiz, you
because
said?
I don't know if you're aware, we've appeared on Eggheads, or we're about to appear on Eggheads.
Are we?
Did you, that was what the green shirt
That's
was
the shirt.
about.
That was the shirt. Yeah.
Oh.
So because of that, I thought we might get some quizzy type people who sort of tune in and go, "Oh,
Maybe even the eggheads.
maybe even the Eggheads themselves, who would like to put themselves through a similar type of embarrassment that we put ourselves through.
I can tell how excited Rob was. He's just writing our names down on his pad of paper. He's not even listening
the
to. He's
score
just
sheet. It's
rubbing his
all
hands
ready to
It
go.
doesn't matter what you say now. He's doing it anyway.
So-
They'd want a quiz.
If quiz people are listening, let's have a quiz. Is all I'm saying. And then now I'm going to pretend I didn't say that at all and go, bah, I hate quizzes.
Let me just.
Okay,
Bell's
ladies
out.
and gentlemen. So
Bell,
there's the
they
bell.
haven't taken the ribbon off it. since
No,
it's
the
all-
ribbon's it's been on there since the day
Are
it
you
was
gonna take
pulled.
that
Still
back?
didn't take it back.
Well, just in
And this
case.
podcast didn't take off.
So, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the top landing gear quiz. Buzzers, please. Let's start with you, Roy. What buzzer have you brought with you today?
Okay, mine is one from the past. It's one where we were doing an interview in Lincoln.
Just asked him the question, how much longer can these things fly? And he said, in perpetuity. What's the word? In perpetuity. In perpetuity. Why? In perpetuity. I mean, the middle syllables are often unnecessary.
The Americans don't bother. Why should you, Rob?
Yeah.
Right,
that's my
thanks for
buzzer.
that, Roy.
Yeah.
That was during an interview at a lovely hotel, the Petwood Hotel, where we'd had some wine. Jez, let's hear your
I'm also
buzzer.
going back. First Principles, one of the early ones. Here we go, from one of my favourite films. Oh, I'll press play. There we go.
Jolly good. And that is from, of course,
Airplane.
Airplane. And Jimbo.
Well, I've gone with the old idea of basing your buzzer on what the whole episode is about.
Oh,
And
yeah.
we were on Eggheads, which is a standard quiz.
Yeah, well,
I've gone with a standard quiz buzzer.
good man. At last.
Well done.
At long last, some sense of proper buzzer. Oh, well, I think you stand every chance of winning, as you usually do anyway.
Probably worth a point.
Okay, guys, stand by your beds. Question one. There will be some questions here that we've asked and tried to answer before. So let's see what we can remember. Question number one. How many marks of Spitfire were there? Yes, Jimbo.
26.
Incorrect.
Jez asked him the question, how
27.
Incorrect. Jez Curling. Yes.
29.
You've all gone the wrong way. James led you astray. It's 24.
Oh.
24. Yes, subvariants, of course, but 24 main variants of Spitfire.
So
You've
closest gets
never
a half a mark. then.
yet got it right. No half marks. Absolutely no half marks there. Question number two. Who was the first person to break the sound barrier? Yes, James.
I believe that was our friend Chuck Yeager.
It was Chuck Yeager. Well
In a
done,
Bell
Jimbo.
X1.
Bell X1. Absolutely right. Well done. Do you know roughly when that was? Or even exactly?
It was in the past.
Wasn't past. Well done, James. You get a point. It was actually...
63.
Well, do you know the anniversary is coming up on the day that Eggheads goes out with the Top Landing Gear team is October the 14th, 1947. Can I just say that this quiz isn't just thrown together, although in this case it has been.
Was that a complete fluke?
Complete and utter planning. Question number, I think, 3. What was the world's first commercial aircraft to be designed entirely by computer? Yes, James.
I'm going to go for the 777.
The Boeing 777,
Boeing 777.
the aircraft you fly.
It is the aircraft I fly, yes.
James, you're correct. It is indeed the Boeing 777. Were you going to say that, Jez?
No.
No. Shame, isn't it?
Did you know that?
Oh, I've seen a documentary on the 777 where they are very proud that this is the first airline that Boeing produced,
Yeah.
which was designed on a computer. Not by computer, it was designed on a computer.
Right.
But I didn't know if Airbus or someone else might have beaten them to it.
Another one of James' specialities is helicopters. When and where?
Jez asked him the question,
Yes,
Airwolf.
unlucky. Bad luck. You're out of the question, I'm afraid. Lovely idea. Lovely idea. When and where? Airwolf. I mean, that would have been what, wouldn't it?
Oh, as soon as you said helicopters, I just went Airwolf.
Well done.
And it
It's
just
a-
took me a long time to press the right button.
It's a
on my
lovely
phone.
idea. Lovely idea. But
I was
wrong.
already committed. As soon as you went when and where, I was like, oh, God. Just like eggheads all over. Or is it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. Channel 5, 6:30, October the 14th, 2022. When and where did the RAF first use helicopters operationally, and what type of helicopter, James?
I'm going to have to go with Malaya
Mm-hmm.
is the where.
You are, of course, correct.
I'm going to guess on the type, and this is probably going to show my ignorance, the Belvedere.
It's a cracking answer, but it's not right. But the Belvedere was in Malaya. You're absolutely right.
That's what I was going to say.
Were you?
I was
It
at
was
the
a
Belvedere.
slight disaster, the Belvedere. It looked like
It was a bad
sort of Chinook.
A bad Chinook.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And as far
worse
as
Chinook.
when,
you might say.
19,
Yeah. Now, you know the dates of the Malayan emergency.
Yeah, I
of
do.
course. Yeah.
but I'm not going to use one of those. 1957.
The year of my birth and the year of Malayan independence.
Oh, so it's
No,
before that,
actually,
wasn't
it was 19. Do you want to have a go, bro? You can get a point here. You haven't scored a point. Why don't you go for a date?
1954.
A year out, bad luck. It's 1953. During Operation Fire Dog, it was the Bristol Sycamore.
Oh,
The
Sycamore.
Bristol Sycamore. Question number wherever we've got to. How long did it take Amy Johnson to fly from London to Australia, and in what year was it? We did a special program on this. Yes, Jez.
19.
What? Is that the answer for the number of days?
I'll
Was
see
that the
how
number of
you're
days?
looking.
Is that what you're
No,
saying for the number
no.
of days?
Yes.
Correct. Well done. 19 days. And the year? Well done, bro. Excellent. Very proud of you for knowing that.
I was listening. It was 19. No, I haven't read the chair. 1920. 31. 1931.
9:31. Incorrect, but you've got your point for the 19 days. Anyone else want to go for the date, the year? Yes, James?
1936.
Incorrect. Roy, why not just go for a date?
1927.
Unlucky, no. It was actually 1930. The aircraft, of course, was a Gypsy Moth, and she flew out of Croydon. Can you remember the name of her husband? Also an aviator.
Is it Jason?
That's no, the aeroplane. I'm going to give you a point for the aeroplane. Was called Jason, her Gypsy Moth. Yes, James.
Jim Morrison.
Well, it's not actually Jim Morrison.
It was
is
like
it?
Jim
So-
Morrison.
Not James Morrison either.
Jim Morris, Morris.
Jez, buzz and get it right, for goodness sake.
Because that's a point. Jim Morrison.
Well, Jim Morrison was your rather feeble joke that seems to have lasted for ages.
Like all his jokes.
Like all his jokes. I'll give you half a point, Jimbo. It's Jim Mollinson.
Oh, yeah.
Jim Mollinson. But James thought that made a very funny joke.
It
which
was a funny joke.
he kept on going on and on about. I think a final question, ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen. This is one you really should get because it goes back to the Whittle episode, which is one of our most recent. What was the RAF's first operational jet fighter? Yes, James.
Meteor.
The
Gloucester Meteor.
Gloucester Meteor is the correct answer. And I think with that, we'll call it a day and we'll end the quiz there. Final scores are Roy won for actually getting it wrong, but it was a nice answer. Jez won for an answer that I helped you with. James is our winner, though, with 3.5 points. Well done, Jimbo.
It's like Eggheads all over again.
Well,
Without
Or
the...
is it?
or is it indeed? There we are. That's what a Top Landing Gear episode can sound like on a bad day.
You're really unlucky.
When we don't have a topic.
Yeah, exactly. So if you've enjoyed that, God help you. Yeah, hopefully you'll listen to some more. But thank you, chaps. Anything anybody would like to add at this stage?
We'll be back in January.
Is that when we'll be back?
Every single episode that we've ever recorded is available wherever you hear this: iTunes, Spotify, on Podbean, where you can do it. I think
Amazon. It's on Amazon now as
Is
well.
it Amazon as well?
Is it?
We're almost up to 120,000 downloads. So
Great.
if you want to sponsor
Per episode?
not per episode, no. But if you want to sponsor, when we put it out, the UK's #1 aviation podcast on iTunes.
Sometimes.
When we put it out,
Yeah, when we put it out.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
always there.
Then
Yeah, it's always at number one.
then please get in touch
Brilliant.
on the email.
Yeah.
Ask James questions.
Yeah.
anything you want to hear.
Tell your friends.
Yeah.
They'll love it.
Yeah, and leave us a review, especially if you're new.
Oh yeah, if you're new, a review is really good because it means we like you more than everyone else, and it's really good for us.
Brilliant. Well said. Yep, and you can get in touch with us on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Instagram at Top Landing Gear. And as we've been saying, do email us with your questions for our expert James at info@toplandinggear.com. That's info@toplandinggear.com.
2Gs.
2Gs. Well done. So we're really looking forward to recording the new series. Do keep an eye on the socials to find out when that will be. In the meantime, thank you so much for listening. And from all four of us, bye for now. This is Top Landing Gear.